Hello and Aloha again to all the Baha'is and the non-Baha'is or whoever is interested in the Baha'i faith. Time is 12:07. Today is Tuesday in January, I don't know, January 8, January 9, I think January 8. February 8. No, I'm really behind. This is more like March 8. So I'm going to continue my discussion on the same subject that basically deals with this administration and this control that God has created as a necessity, as a part of the faith of God. And to elaborate some of the other titles. Last time I told you that in the Baha'i faith we have four infallible individual: His Holiness the Bab, His Divine Majesty the Baha'u'llah, Abdul-baha, Shogi Effendi, and the World Order of Baha'u'llah, which consists of two pillars of universal laws of justice and universal laws of guardianship. But there are in between other titles here and there we hear. Some of these are, let's start from beginning. At the time of Bab, his first believers were called Letters of Living. They were 18. And to justify the 18 as who they are, he said they are the return of the 12 Imam in the Shiites, as well as the Prophet and the daughter. And then there are four other people that he does not bring their names, but he calls them Bab in the book of the Bayan, where he talks about the coming back, the return. Just like Christian, they say return of Jesus Christ. There is a return of Prophet, his daughter, and 12 Imam. So that makes it 14. And he mentions by name. He says, Muhammad return with whoever believed with him. And then Fatima returned, same way. But when he returned, when it comes to himself, he does not say it. And the 12th Imam or the promised one returned. He does not say. He just says that I, the Qa'im, the Lord of the time, the promised one has appeared. He doesn't say that he has returned, which means there was no promised one, or the Muslim, they believe he's in the basement somewhere hidden and this and that. Yet he talks about another four that they were at the past, but this time, like the Imam, that he are specific in their name, he does not give any name. He just simply said the first Bab returned, the second Bab, the third one, and the fourth. These four are called Bab or Nayeb. Both of them means basically the same. Bab means a gate, and Nayeb means a representative. This is very important for you to know, that in the Baha'i faith, the claim of these four people have seen Imam, or the promised one of the Shiites some 1,000 years ago, is totally unacceptable. Baha'u'llah says because of these inventions circumventing truth, whatever they meant, good or bad, because of that the Bab was martyred. Because they say Imam is alive in the basement and people believed in him and they collect the money and everything else. So, and Bab in the beginning, he does refer to these people when he was in Shiraz or was in Isfahan. Now, when he's in Maku, in the north of Iran, when he reveals his most important book, he clearly says, I am the promised one. I'm not representative of Imam or anything else. But yet, again, he refers to these four people. Baha'i faith does not accept. What the Baha'i faith does not accept is that Baha'i faith does not accept those particular four, named Hussein Aru, whatever. Those guys are not real, but there had been a four Nayeb. I've explained this in my videos. Go back down and you'll see. Bob himself, in his book Tafsir Ahsan al-Qasas, which means the interpretation of the chapter of Joseph, one of first book basically, there he says we have had representative amongst you to give news about us, but he remains to Sheikh Ahmad Ahsa and Sayyid Kazim. Okay, he talks about these two, the two people that came before him. So what are these four? I have explained to you before in the videos. I'm not going to go because this idea today is not to explain these things in that manner. But they were Hussein ibn Mansur al-Hallaj, who said God is within me, and he was martyred, and one of his claims was he was the representative of Imam. But he doesn't say that 12th Imam. No, he doesn't say that. He's one of them. The second one is Rumi. You know him as Rumi. Persian, they know him as Mawlavi. This man came from Afghanistan. His father brought him in Turkey, and he always wanted to know why he's here. And when he saw his divine teacher Shams, people, they don't know why Rumi so much is in love with Shams. The reason is he thought Shams is the promised one, because the Iran at those days were attacked by the Mongols, and he thought he's him. But Shams tells him that no, Islam was supposed to go 500, but I have come to see you to tell you to write your book that it can go another 500 years. And Shams and Rumi has a clear poem that he talks about an Afandi, which means a master, and he talks about him to have a book, religion and everything else. This poem also, I have done it into the videos. You can separately listen to this. So far, these four, in the past, they would return to Hussein ibn Mansur al-Hallaj, Rumi, or Mawlavi as we know him, and Sheikh Ahmad Ahsai, yes. But one in the West is very controversial for you to believe in it, but I assure you, he's the one, and he's George Washington, the President of the United States of America, because he brought a social justice. This is the sun comes from the West. This is the meaning that Imam Sadiq says he will show you the way of justice, and Shawqi Effendi says the United States of America is a perfect system, except it's regional. It's in one region of the earth. If it was entire earth, that would be perfect. So the Constitution of the United States of America, and the father of it, George Washington, who was not the writer, but was one of those representatives. He was the general of the army of those 13 states in the beginning. He is the elder of God. So this makes the four. But then these four are returning, are supposed to return, just like the Imam of Shiite returned, the four has to be returned. The return of those are very clear. The return of George Washington would be Abraham Lincoln, who comes and put the last part of the Declaration of Independence, which was the emancipation of the blacks and the Negroes, they called it those days, which wasn't ratified. He ratified it in the West. And Sayyid Kazim, who comes after Sheikh Ahmad, he would be another one. And the person who has built the Baha'i temple in Russia, was the cousin of the Bab, Mr. Vakil Dole. And another elder, another one of those, he comes, the fourth one is one of the letters of the living. So now we can see at the time of Bab, we have 18 letters of the living, okay, which are the return of the four representative, as I mentioned, 12 Imam, Prophet of Islam, and his daughter. So that makes 18, plus him 19. Now, these 19, which are Naib and letters of living, in the Baha'i faith, they are transferred to a new title. They're called elders. So who are the elders? Elders are really the letters of the living, okay, which are comprised of the 12 Imam, Prophet, his daughter, and the four Naibs, and the Bab himself. Bab, the Prophet of God, becomes an elder of Baha'u'llah. This is why Baha'u'llah says, when you're referring to the letters of the living, they're called letters of the living, and they have the title, but they do not have the same station. The station of the Bab is infallible, and no elder can even get there. And the station of Tahira or Quddus or Mullah Hussein is far, far away from anything like me. Some of these guys, two of them, were very rather not very active. Hassan Bajestani, who was said to Baha'u'llah that I believe in Bab, but I don't believe in myself. When he calls all these names to me and these attributes to me as a letter of living, I don't see myself that. Baha'u'llah says, yes, God, farmer, he says, he gives the water both to the weed and to the, to the real, things in the farm. So the weed also grows, he says, alongside of the vegetables. But that's as far as it goes. He does not call him, you're not a Babi, or you're out, or you're not this or that. He remains to be an inactive person. The next one was also very loose. It was Roza Khan Yazdi. He was just simply, overcame with the fear, and he went to Kerman and married the daughter of one of the opponents of the Bab. But Mr. Merab Khani says in the book Huruf that whenever he found ear, he would talk about it. In his heart, he still was a Babian believer. Okay, but one of these guys, the third one, Hadi Ghazvini, he simply completely left the Baha'i faith. He did not, he was an elder, he was a letters of the living, no doubt about it, but he was never transferred to be an elder. So we cannot consider him as an elder. Baha'u'llah tells him that, as I told you previously, thou hast taken bail for your God. So he was an enemy of Baha'u'llah, and Baha'u'llah literally excommunicated him, and he's numbered as the enemy in the Baha'i faith. So he wanted to poison Baha'u'llah. And this is the dispute between me and those guys, that some of the scholars in the Baha'i faith, that they thought he's also an elder. In that case, there has to be 4 elder remains, not 5. Which I said, no, this man cannot be counted as one of the elders because he's out. And the cousin of the Bab who built the first Baha'i temple in Russia, by Abdul-baha, appointed as one of the elders. Okay. Now, let me look at my note. Now, you kind of got the idea that we have names, like we have hands of the cause. I told you who they are. You basically know it. There are 27 of them. They, instituted the Universal House of Justice. In between, we have 24 elders in the Baha'i faith, which consist of the Bab, the Prophet, 18 of his disciples, letters of the living, which they were return of the 4 representatives, as well as the Prophet of Islam, his daughter, and 12 Imam. So that's how it's evolving to come to the Baha'i faith. Okay? Now, we like to know a little bit who are these elders. I have gathered some of the writings here. What does Abdul-baha says about them? Okay? In the Mufawazat, the book of Mufawazat, some answered question, page 57. Abdul-baha says, in each cycle, the guardians. Now the word elder turns to be guardian. We have to discuss about that. What is the relationship between the future guardians and elders? In each cycle, the guardians and the holy souls have been 12. So Jacob had 12 sons. In the time of Moses, there were 12 heads or chief of the tribes. In the time of Christ, there were 12 apostles. And in the time of Muhammad, there were 12 imams. But in this glorious manifestation, there are 24. Double the number of all others. for the greatness of this manifestation requires it. These holy souls are in the presence of God, seated on their own throne, meaning that they reign eternally. So from here, you have to gather what is an elder. An elder is the one who reigns eternally. They are not in the need of the Baha'i faith. Faith of God is not particularly revealed for them, but they are humble, as in the Bible says, prostrating in the front of the manifestation of God, in this case Baha'u'llah, and helping. Okay, so they reign eternally. Okay, it says also they sit on their own throne. Okay, that's what an elder is. They're called holy souls. They're sitting in presence of God, and they are the requirement of the Baha'i faith. Without them, Baha'i faith is not completed. Okay, so, and they're called guardians and holy souls. Okay, now we saw that there are 24 guardians and holy souls. Shoghi Effendi, they were asking the same questions, and he's in the Light of Guidance, page 509. He says, regarding the 4 and 20 elders, you see the number 24 now applied to the word elders. In Abdul-baha it's called guardians and holy souls. Regarding the 4 and 20 elders, the master in a tablet, master means Abdul-baha, in a tablet is stated, they are the Bab, the 18 letters of the living, and 5 others who would be known in the future. So far, we do not know who these 5 others are. Shoghi Effendi did not know. He says that. We do not know. He did not know. I was just born. 1 year old. Okay. Now, we sort of seeing what is the spiritual status, okay, in the Baha'i faith. Now we want to look to see what is their job, what is their responsibility. There's 2 distinct responsibilities given to them. One of whom that was called by Abdul-baha the elder, which is the Wakil-ud-Dawla, the builder of the Baha'i temple in Russia. Abdul-baha calls upon him, tells him that in case of my loss, if I'm gone, not around, dead, taken to Libya, further into the jail, he says to him, you form the Universal House of Justice after me. Abdul-baha has not given this mission to any particular group, only to the elder. He has said that. He has not said the hands of the cause of God, they should form Universal House of Justice. Neither in the 10 years plan of Shoghi Effendi there is anything about them to do this. They are not to do this. The Universal House of Justice is not one of their, specifically, down to a point, is not one of their responsibility. It is to protect the faith, and it is to promulgate it, but not to create the Universal House of Justice. But Abdul-baha has said generally to all the Baha'is, this is how it should be done. But a person in charge, it has been an elder. So we know this is one of the responsibilities of elders. The second thing about the elders, or otherwise guardians, future guardians shall I say, is that they have the capacity of interpreting the religion, the book, the text, the holy text, just like Abdul-baha. However, they are not co-equal to Abdul-baha. They are essentially human beings. That's what exactly he says in the World Order of Baha'u'llah. I'm going to read one of them because Mr. Qadirian, the consular of the Universal House of Justice, a very nice gentleman, he came last time when I met him in Toronto. He called me and asked me, where is it? How did you get this idea that an elder can be interpreter? because Shoghi Effendi says there are no interpreters. And he says that this is entitled that people should not apply it to themselves. Of course, the one who is not an elder should not call himself an elder. And the one who is an elder has to come up with some specific itinerary, a resume that who says who he is, where has he begun, who is he? And I'm going to explain that to you further. Let's go right now generally what the elders are. Here is what he says that I read for Mr. Qadirian in the World Order of Baha'u'llah, page 151. The fact that the guardian has been specifically endowed with such power as he may need to reveal the purport and disclose the implications of the utterances of Baha'u'llah and of Abdul-baha does not necessarily confer upon him a station co-equal with those whose words he is called upon to interpret. He can exercise the right and discharge this application and yet remain infinitely inferior to both of them in rank and different in nature. To the integrity of this cardinal principle of our faith, the words, the deeds of its present, which means himself, and future guardians must abundantly testify. So, this is very important, people. He says that he himself and the future guardian, they can do the responsibility of Abdul-baha, which is the implication of what is the meaning and exact purport of Baha'u'llah's and Abdul-baha without being them. It's like the member of the Universal House of Justice, when they are in their chamber, when they are called upon, when they feel they can legislate the laws, which is equal to those of the Baha'u'llah, being infallible, yet the individuals are not called prophets. Okay? The 5 women that hopefully in my lifetime they would be appointed, elected, better yet, that they would be in the Dar al-Wilayah, which is the House of Guardianship, in Arz-Ahdas, where they continue the interpretation of the writing of Abdul-baha and of the Shoghi Effendi, but they are not called interpreters. Yet the responsibility continues. Okay? So this matter is clear right now that the guardian, Shoghi Effendi, divine guardian, and the future guardian, which would have to be these elders because there are 24 of them, they have the power to interpret. It seems the interpretation of the writings is those things that in the Islam there was, like Rumi, like Attar, like Ghazali, like so many of them. They had this power. They were endowed by God, like some geniuses in physics or chemistry. These guys were in the area of the divinity. They had this ability to explain these things, but they were not called Imam or Nabi, because Muhammad was the last of the Nabi. But he says they are superior from the prophets of the Israelites. That's what Muhammad says. In Baha'i faith there will be millions of them. Without them it will not work. Which brings us to another stage of the guardianship, which these guys are not elders, but yet they're called guardian. Now I'm going to read that one too for you. This is in Guardian in the Light of Guidance. The lady or somebody here asking that what is this meaning that Shoghi Effendi, the Abdul-baha says this is the day that will not be followed by night. Like constantly God is in contact with humanity. What does that mean? And he says on page 310, acceptance of the day that will not be followed by night, he feels that ... ponder more deeply about the fundamentals of the divine revelation. You have to understand also fundamentals of it. She will also come to understand the guardianship. Once the mind and the heart have grasped the fact that God guides men through a mouthpiece, a human being, a prophet, infallible and unerring, it's only a logical projection of this accept. To also accept the station of Abdul-baha and the guardians. He put the word S at the end. It's not just the guardian, guardians. The guardians are the evidence of the maturity of mankind, that at long last men have progressed to the point of having one world and of needing one world management for human affairs in the spiritual realm. They have also reached the point where God could live in the human hands, within bracket, i.e. the guardians, guided directly by the Bab and Baha'u'llah, as the Master states in his will, the affairs of his fate for his dispensation. This is what it meant by this is the day which will not be followed by the light, by the night. In this dispensation, divine guidance flows unto us in this world after the Prophet ascension, through first Master and then the guardians. If a person can accept Baha'u'llah's function, it should not present any difficulty to them also to accept that he has ordained divinely guided individual in a matter pertaining to his fate. It's actually very, very simple. Mankind have seen this for 1,000 years in Islam. That so many people like Rumi, like Sheikh Ahmad Ahsai, so many of them, they would perform miracles like Hallaj, like Sohrawardi. Who were they? They were the guardian. We call him guardian in this faith. So, in the Baha'i faith, God has seen that mankind has reached to a maturity, ordinary human being, that can receive the messages from Baha'u'llah. Call us the computer that some of us might be able to connect to the internet of Baha'u'llah, receive messages from him. And that, in my opinion, is not just pertaining to the faith in a sense, that holy text. It could be all kind of things. Matter to the physical things, matters to the social matters, because all of it is part of the truth. And Baha'i faith, is a collection of all the truths, the needs that mankind requires it. So where are we now? So far, I'm trying to summarize it. We know how the elders, they come about. They are really the Bab, the letters of the living, which some of them were called Nayeb. There were 4 in before and they return, and all together they create this 19 at a time, and in the Baha'i faith 5 more, become 24 elders. Okay, now somebody was asking me, explain a little bit about the elders. Now, one of the questions that remains for some of the Baha'is, they were asking me, all right, there are elders, 5 of them, and they will have to come to interpret. Okay, what is it left to interpret? What is it that is not completed? What? Shoghi Effendi specifically says the matter pertaining to the World Order of Baha'u'llah. WOB, World Order of Baha'u'llah, page 148. Quote from Shoghi Effendi. An attempt, I feel, should at the present juncture should be made to explain the character and the function of the twin pillars that support this mighty administrative structure, the institution of guardianship and of the universal house of justice. To describe in their entirety the diverse element that functions in junctions with this institution is beyond the scope and purpose of this general exposition of the fundamentals, verities of the faith. To define with accuracy and minuteness the features and analyze exhaustively the nature of the relationship which, on one hand, bind together these two fundamental organs of the will of Abdul-baha and connect on the other, each of them to the author of the faith, and the center of his covenant is a task which the future generations will no doubt adequately fulfill. So, where we are standing right now, we do not know what is the relationship of universal laws of guardianship to the universal laws of justice. We do not know, complete picture is not there. What is the relationship of universal laws of justice to Abdul-baha, center of covenant, and to the author of the faith, Baha'u'llah? What is also the relationship of guardianship to Abdul-baha and to Shoghi Effendi? Okay, it is not clear, it says. I just told you a few things. Okay, it says the future generation will come. Well, if this future generation are Baha'is, I'm sorry, Baha'is are not to be interpreting. If it is universal laws of justice has said even themselves. They know it very well. This matter is very clear. They are not. One of the things they 100% they cannot do, they have said that, is to interpret the writings. So interpretation of writing is not the work of universal laws of justice and the ordinary Baha'is. I guess then nobody else remains except the guardians. So what do we do? Are we thinking the general guardians will come before the five elders? I don't think so. As it goes sequentially down, when the divine guardian goes, now the special guardians, which are elders, they have to show up. But they are not somebody to be appointed by universal laws of justice, because if universal laws of justice appoints anybody, it will become subservient to them. They have to take order from them. Whereas a guardian is supposed to be an independent pillar standing on the other side. None of these institutions, Shoghi Effendis, can interfere in each other's affair, as universal never does. In that case, it must be elders. Nobody else's remains. The future generation that can interpret with minuteness the whole thing has got to be the elders. Because it says they're 24. It says they can legislate to have universal laws of justice, and not legislate, interpret and bring the Baha'is together practically to erect a universal laws of justice, which Hands of the Cause has done already anyways. But remains the second one, the institution of guardianship. The institution without which we don't have Baha'i faith. It's gone. Let's see what he says. Some people say, well, guardianship, another institution, so what does it gonna do? Shoghi Effendi says this: without such an institution, the integrity of the faith would be imperiled. Are you going to argue with him? And the stability of entire fabric would be gravely endangered. Its prestige would suffer. The mean required to enable it to take a long and uninterrupted view over a series of generations would be completely lacking. And most of all, and the necessary guidance to define the sphere of the legislative action of its elected representative would be totally withdrawn. The elected representative, which are the member of the universal laws of justice, without this necessary guidance from the institution of guardianship, is completely withdrawn. This universal laws of justice has no guidance, will act any way you want. As I explained it to you, you cannot blame any member of universal laws of justice or any Baha'i for this matter. Shoghi Effendi says there is no faith left if you take this. Some other, Baha'is also, if you can call them Baha'is, they say, what is this administration business? We don't need it at all. Shoghi Effendi says, hold on. To separate the Baha'i institutions from the faith of Baha'u'llah, it is separating Abdul-baha from the Baha'u'llah. Is that bad, he says. If you can say, I'm a Baha'i, I don't need Abdul-baha, you can also say that I'm a Baha'i, I don't need universal laws of justice. They are completely interwoven. Why? Because this is a practical religion. not only Baha'u'llah has revealed, it also tells us how to establish it. That's what the administration role is. Okay? So it is clear that we do need to interpret the writing. There are millions of problems. I'm going to tell you later on the next one, why am I an elder? What is my resume? Why should I be an elder and others, Baha'is, scholars are not? I'll explain to you. But the issue is so big that he actually physically has ordered one of these 5 buildings that is built right now in the by Universal House of Justice. One of them should be called Darul Velayah, which means the House of Guardianship. For the Universal House of Justice, we call it what? Darut Tashri. Dar means the house. Tashri means legislation, the House of Legislations. He says Darul Velayah, the House of Guardianship. This one, for some reason, has not been interpreted. I think that in the book called Covenant that Adib Taharzadeh has written, book this thick again. Oh my God, look at that book. Anybody looks at it gets scared, I think there is a point in there. I have not seen it anywhere else. Somebody told me there's something there. But in a book called Toghiyat Mubarakeh, printed in 1992 in Germany at the Baha'i Verlag, and I've written, this book is a compilation of the Persian message of Shoghi Effendi dating from 88 to 113 of the Baha'i calendar, where he says the following. I have translated it. You can go to look for yourself at page 562 in Persian. He says, at the precinct of these 2 lofty buildings, which is the Baha'i Archive and the seat of Universal House of Justice, and these 2 mighty pillars, another building which is the House of Guardianship, within bracket Darul Velayah, and the center of interpretation, explanations, and commentary of the holy text in confirmation and complementation to the legislative arm gradually shall be erected. It says a building. و در جوار این 2 معهد اعلی و این 2 بنیان قوی الارکان بنای ثالثی ایجاد خواهد گردید که دارالولایه و مرکز تفسیر و تبیین و تعویل احکام منصوصه و مؤید و متمم هیئت تقنینیه می باشد. What can we say, people? I mean, what qualm you have? Never mind me. With Baha'u'llah, with Shoghi Effendi. You're telling him that Darul Velayah be changed? I asked the consular, Qadirian, what about this building? He said, well, Shoghi Effendi didn't have a child, therefore there's no guardian, and therefore Darul Velayah is basically useless building. It can't be done. I said that Darul Velayah is not where Shoghi Effendi, or if there was another guardian, would reside. That's not where it is. Shoghi Effendi, if anything, he is not a part of the institution of guardianship. Did you ever know that? His name is Guardian, yeah. His title is called Guardian. But he is the chief of the Universal House of Justice, if it were to be made at the same time. Shoghi Effendi will go actually into the Universal House of Justice, and he's the member of Universal House of Justice, a member that is for lifetime. Why didn't people think Darul Velayah, which is the 3rd building, is the place of the guardian? It's not it. This is a different building. He says to it, center of interpretation, not interpreters, center of, commentary, understanding the faith. If you do not accept this, you have a problem with this. Either I'm the stupidest man in the universe that don't know how to talk, or you are completely blind. You have a fight within yourself. You are the enemy of Baha'u'llah. There is no other way about it. Go read it, clarify for yourself. At this time, those who call themselves Baha'i, and they do not want to accept the text of the Shoghi Effendi, they're out the door. You may not accept me, okay, But these are facts in the text. There has to be a building called Dar al-Wilayah, which is the center of interpretation. You can't change that building and call it some other name. In that case, you have changed, perverted the writing of Shoghi Effendi. Especially the funny part is that when Universal Laws of Justice says that the interpretations of the Guardian is the explanation of the truth that cannot be varied. They say you cannot change it. Yet they go change the Dar al-Wilayah, the building, into center of interpretation. It becomes a committee to work under Universal Laws of Justice. What are you telling me? There's a sixth building? You build the building. That building should, nobody should occupy that building. Or it is that to be written. This is the Dar al-Wilayah. Temporarily, there is no guardian, or this matter is not settled. That's why we occupy. But you have changed it to Dar al-Tahqiq, means the house of investigations, the house of scholars. This is perversions of the work of God, my friends. Do not accept this to yourself as a Baha'i, and do not accept anybody else. You may not accept me, you may not like me, for whatever your reason is. But you can't go against this. All right? This is his actual word. So, I have another one. Let me tell you that. But Shoghi Effendi, Universal Laws of Justice says we cannot do the work of guardian. He says there are those prerogative and duties which lies exclusively within the spheres of the guardian himself, and therefore, in the absence of guardians, are inoperative, except in as so far as monumental work already performed by Shoghi Effendi continues to be the guiding benefit to the faith. Such function is that of the authoritative interpretations of the teaching. He says we cannot do it. It's the work of Shoghi Effendi. It's Light of Guidance, page 311. So, they're saying that Shoghi Effendi did not have a child. I agree. We cannot invent a guardian. I agree. But we're calling it off. That's over. Well, then you have to say no to many things. You have to deny that there are 5 elders coming. You then end up changing the work of guardians. Then you end up doing interpretation, which is his work. A lot of things you have to get it out. Such a thing, Shoghi Effendi is no longer called Baha'i faith. And the entire function, he says, is imperiled, is disintegrated, is not the faith of God. So I hope this was useful. I know it is hard, but my friend, it is better for me to tell you that you have a cancer than give you some candy and suck up to your wishes and let you die. I cannot do that. Whatever the price is, if that makes you to hate me and not liking me, go ahead. 20 years they have pushed me down. They will never succeed. I cannot be frustrated by the will of man. No man can frustrate. Entire mankind becomes a bullet, cannot do anything to me. Because I will not work for you. I will for Baha'u'llah. Now, it begs these questions. Many people have told me that. Okay, Mr. Temuri, we heard all your explanation, but we have a problem. Shoghi Effendi says people should not apply this title of elder to themselves. Well, you're one of them that you have applied it to yourself. You may say no, you are really an elder, but we don't know that. We're Baha'is, this is 21st century. We have to go either with the logic, with the science, or with the text. Where is your name written in the Baha'i faith? What is specific about you that you think you are superior in your knowledge, or I hate this goddamn word superior, you are specialized in something as a talent, as a prerogative that other Baha'is cannot do that or not have. You have to prove it to us. I remember one of them was calling from United States one day. He says that this is my problem. He says, I like all your videos, I enjoy it, but all of that does not sum up for me to accept you are an elder chosen by Baha'u'llah. You have to bring some hard evidences, he said. We believe Baha'u'llah because in the book, Bible, Quran, and all of that, they've said that. So it's clear. He has brought a message that was never there before. So if you are going to be somebody like this, you have to tell us. You know, the letters of the living, they were not ever told by anybody or taught about the faith by anyone. They had to know it on their own. Elders are exactly the same way. I cannot be taught by a man about eldership. I have to be able to bring things in the faith that no one has done before. Have I done that? We'll talk about this in the next session. I'm going to introduce myself to you, that why did Baha'u'llah has chosen me to do this job, which I have to reiterate again this fact, which does not mean I am better than anybody in the world, even that the junkie in any downtown. The word of Shoghi Effendi is this: infinitely inferior. Even a mosquito is not infinitely inferior than Abdul-baha. What would really be infinitely inferior than Abdul-baha? An atom, a particle, a quark? Because we have to go in the rank. What is the lowest things in the world? The word infinite is big, brother. So I could be infinitely inferior. The lowest of the low of the low. But yet, I'm the plumber. I'm specialized in knowing things that nobody else knows. So this is the reason. So if somebody's chosen to be the hands of the cause of God, it's not because he's the best. The most eligible, I tell you that right now, I vouch for this, completely, in every department, is the Mr. Ashraf Khavari. He's never been called to be hands of the cause of God. His other friend, Abul Fazal Golpaigani, was called hand of the cause of God. Some people after death, they were called hands of the cause of God. Not Ashraf Khavari. Do you know why? Because he's bigger than hands of the cause of God. You can't give him that title. That title is restrict him from what he was. He's bigger than that. These titles are restrictions. When you call me an elder, then my hand is tied up to only what I can do in these premises. This is what Mason Remy didn't understand. When Shoghi Effendi told him, you are hand of the cause of God, that means you can't be anything else. If you want to say anything else, then you have to cancel, revoke my word, which I called you hands of the cause. So you are in direct opposition to me. You call me master, but you're in complete opposition to me. The same problem was with Azal. Azal did not understand. When Bob called him, you are the chief of the Babi, meaning that's who you are, not more than this. But when I'm talking about Baha'u'llah, or the person who's coming after me, I call him Sayyidul Akbar, the Lord of the universe. I say I am nothing compared to him. Now you want to fight with the Lord of the universe? Bob, by giving him the title, restricted Mr. Azal that you are only the chief of the Babi, nothing but that. You are not even one of the letters of the living. You are not the Shuhada Bayan. You are just the chief of the Babi. Whatever that title entitles you to be. Nothing more than that. The guy didn't understand. He thought, oh, he told me chief of the Babi, therefore I can go and fight with Baha'u'llah. Well, the foolish man did not understand. Bob told him who you are because he knew you were going to go past your limit. So maybe I am in the same situation. I'm called an elder, so tomorrow I don't come with something new. I hope I will never do, unless you pay me billions of dollars. I will never accept. Nothing more than that. I'm happy with being the servant of Baha'u'llah. That's all. And to fulfill his desires. Without him, I would not live 1 minute in this goddamn life. Not even 1 minute. Anything you like, I don't like. I don't like your dresses. I don't like houses. I don't like cars. Nothing I like. Yeah, I like food. I collect comic books. Old monies, like Canadian old monies. I'm very weird in that area. I just don't like things. I hate my house. I don't like it. It's a burden on my back, on my head and everything. My car, same thing. It has to be a cheap car that I can simply go around and repair it whenever I want. I don't like clothes. Just simple clothes. I don't want to be called boss. I don't want to be known. I hate it. So you can't lure me with none of these. Except Baha'u'llah. Why? Because I cannot see anybody like him. It's impossible. Who is in the world to give the last penny of his money, although he's a multi-millionaire? Nobody. Then he goes and gives, never mind money, the freedom, except to go under the jail with a chain, my God, you know. And then inflict that upon his families. For what? For that we have to unite? For that we love each other? Well, that makes me to cry, you know. And I don't care. Just the fact that he is, that's enough. There is no other things to live for. I don't know how you get attracted, you know. When people say, God, give me more money, God says, I'm sorry, on the video I should not say, he is living in the shit and he's asking to give me more shit. Should we fulfill his? No, he can't. He tells you, no, you don't need that. You need to be creating a balance before wanting extra more material. Allahu Akbar.